So that's where we jump in and we kind of go over to some of the transfers, the defensive additions, and just ultimately just the defense as a whole and what they bring to the table. First, Marvin Jones Jr., a former five-star edge that came from Florida State, transferred into Oklahoma. He's an explosive pass rusher. That's the guy that I would pick to be the one. And there's really not been a lot of talking about Marvin Jones Jr. this offseason, much at all. And it's really shocked me. And I hope it stays that way. So maybe I'll just shut my mouth. But I do think that he would be the replacement for Ethan Downs. I think he would be the guy to come in there and be that edge, that the kind of the glue that holds that edge piece together on one side. And then of course you've got R. Mason Thomas on the other side. You've got the cheetahs that we've got in the backfield, like Kendall Dolby, and another one that we actually brought in from Oklahoma State, Kendall Daniels. So two KDs, two Kendalls. And Kendall Daniels coming in kind of a versatile safety linebacker. That cheetah role is really what he plays, but I've heard a lot of different variations of what he could play with guys like Danny Okoye, or sorry, not Danny Okoye, Sammy Osamigo, and I'm probably butchering his last name because I don't have it in front of me. But there's a whole lot of guys with Kendall Dolby. Want to make sure I don't mix up the Kendalls that could play in that cheetah role and force. I mean, you could possibly have a really weird and strong look with having Kendall Dolby and Kendall Daniels out there kind of in that same role and transitioning, kind of switching back and forth. I don't know. This is all kind of speculation, but there's a lot that comes in with adding a guy like Kendall Daniels to that linebacker / safety role. Again, more like that cheetah role. That's what they call it here in the Brent Venables system. And so the versatility of what we get out of Kendall Daniels, that's what I really like. A lot of speed. He's got some size, and that could help a little bit with that Danny Stutzman role, as well as helping and solidify that cheetah role with Kendall Dolby, and then even the Sammy over there as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. I think Kendall Daniels was a huge pickup. I think that's one that will be overlooked until the season comes and people will be like, hey, why didn't we talk about this more in the offseason? Because I really do think that he has the potential of being that big time, that big presence with a lot of skill, that big physical presence with a lot of speed. So, I think there's a lot there. See another one that, I guess just going into the defensive strength as a whole, because there's really not a whole lot more as far as transfers that come to the top of my mind. But you look at Dominic Williams, Grayson Halton, Jaden Jackson, David Stone, Danny Okoye, R. Mason Thomas, now adding Marvin Jones Jr. I mean, just thinking about the disruptive force that we've got here at Oklahoma on the defensive line. I mean, that is a crazy deep defensive line with guys like Dominic Williams, Grayson Halton, Jaden Jackson, Danny Stone. I mean, all those guys kind of play more on that inside role. Danny Okoye, R. Mason Thomas, and then you've got Marvin Jones Jr. now coming in. You've got guys on the inside and outside stacked up. And I'm probably missing a few too. I didn't really go through the roster to really remind myself exactly who is on this team. But that's one position on that defensive line where games in the SEC and in college football as a whole are won and lost right there in the trenches. Oklahoma wins 10 out of 10. Oklahoma wins. Best defensive line in the nation. I don't know. I think deserving of top 10. In my mind, top 5, top 3, but that's just because I really haven't dove into all of the other teams' defensive lines and what they have out there to stack up. But I mean, Oklahoma has just got dudes up on the front 7. So, I mean, you have to look at what Oklahoma's got up in the front, in the trenches, and be extremely excited about that. But as far as Stutzman, how do you replace Danny Stutzman? I don't think you do. I really don't. I don't think there's a way to replace Danny Stutzman and everything that he was, but you can get guys going in together with guys like R. Mason Thomas, Robert Spears Jennings, Kip Lewis. So Kip Lewis will be that Danny Stutzman role, most likely. He will be the guy that steps into that role, at least on the defensive side of the ball. But as far as so he would fit that on the field role. But as far as leadership, I think Kip plays into that, as well as R. Mason Thomas, Robert Spears Jennings, and these other guys that I mentioned, just because I think all of them kind of help with that leadership role. So it's going to take multiple guys to lead the way that Danny Stutzman led, because he led on the field. He was a force on the field, and he was a leader in the locker room and off the field. So there's just so much. You can't replace that. So I think that's a lot, and it's not going to be replaced, but it can by one guy is what I mean. It's not going to be. Danny Stutzman will not be replaced by one guy, but he can be replaced by a multitude of guys stepping into that role together and helping each other. So ultimately, I think when you look at guys, going back to the transfers with guys like Marvin Jones Jr. and Kendall Daniels being transferred into this defense, I think Oklahoma has a lot to look forward to when you talk about stacking the box, stopping the run, setting the tone, and being physical. Those are your guys that you're looking at, and Oklahoma will be just fine there. So I don't think we have a whole lot of questions about whether this Oklahoma defense is going to be good or talented, especially when you look at that front seven.